when it started, had to be part of existing living square footage. It cannot exceed 500 square feet, and it varies from city to city. For example, San Diego, they want you to have access from the main house to the JV, which I don't like that personally. I hope they change that. But here in LA and most places, you can separated. So we have our lenders that we work with, so we recommend them and we help them through the whole process. And also, for example, that 48,000 grant that was out there, that
Yeah,
kind of
the
keeps
grant.
going. Yeah, it keeps going back and forth. We help our clients do the paperwork, help them through that process. But right now, that's almost like a gamble in a sense that there's no guarantee you will be getting that grant.
Hi, everybody. Jose Luis Morales here. Welcome back to another episode of the Morales Group Show. Today, we have a very special guest. His name is Oscar Albillo. He is with the ADU Guys Specialist. And today, we are going to be covering how to plan, how to build an ADU, and how to finance an ADU. So this is going to be an all-inclusive guide. He's going to be giving us tips on how to plan, how to design, and then tips on how to build, and then tips on how to finance the ADU here in California. Welcome to the show, Oscar. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Yourself?
I appreciate you obviously taking the time. So for our viewers that don't know who Oscar Albillo is or who the ADU guys are, who are the ADU guys and who is Oscar Albillo? And then how did you guys get involved in the ADU process?
My name is Oscar. I'm the founder, CEO founder of the AD Guys, and we started doing it for ourselves, and kind of it started evolving to, working for others. And that's how we started. But right now, we pretty much are working through the South Bay area. We're helping clients in Los Angeles, San Diego, Ventura. We have one in Oxnard right now, and pretty much throughout. And our journey is to help our clients uh, determine the pros and cons of their property, because that's very important. Not knowing your pros and cons, it leaves a big open area to issues. So, for example, right now, the cons are if you have a unit, sorry, if you have a unit that's on hillside, you have hillside, you have fire hazard areas. So there's a lot of areas that are limited to the ADUs that can happen, but uh, not knowing the right information, there's you can start your blueprint design, and then find out later that you can't do it for not getting the right information from the beginning. So that's where we come in and help our clients.
Got it. So the first step is kind of giving them like a consultation as to whether an ADU is possible, and then also like whether it's feasible as well too. What would you say makes a good lot or a good project for an ADU? Like what are some of the qualities that would be like, wow, if you have this, this, and this is more desirable?
So right now, me personally, when I come to a property, I a lot of homeowners don't want to use the garage because when everything started, everybody was thinking that it was just garage conversions, and not really understanding that the ADU could be attached to the main home. It could be attached to the garage without using the garage. It can be detached. So when everything started, that's kind of the mindset that everybody had. So as everything evolved, people are understanding that we can do brand new ADUs. What I look into a lot, and I tell my homeowners, investors, that I put myself in their shoes. If it was my property, what do I want to get out of it? How can I maximize my ADU? Because right now, as you know, we can do ADU and we can do a JDU, which I'll touch a little bit more on the JDU. But for now, uh, I'll go back to the ADU. So if you want a one bedroom, a two bedroom, a lot of my clients come to me and say, Oscar, I would like to maximize and build a 1,200 square foot ADU. For the most part, I don't recommend it because instead of doing a 1,200 square foot, if you're planning to rent it out, you're probably going to end up with multiple family members, mom and dad. So you're going to probably have two, three family members involved with that rental. to be able to afford it. So you going through that whole cost, I my advice is just do two ADUs. Do a JDU if you can, or if you want to, and then do a regular ADU, a two bedroom, because the rental benefit from a two bedroom to a three bedroom in most areas is not that much. But the upfront cost will be significant. So
Are the permitting fees higher when you max it out? I've heard something along the lines like when you max it out to the full 1,200 square feet, that once you go past a certain square footage, there's a lot more fees involved in some way or
very
another, just in the permitting process.
Very true. So when you go over 750 square feet, you deal with impact fees. So my advice for that is the impact fees is a one-time situation. The benefit, the future value of the ADU is it overrides that. So for example, I don't know if you heard before that if you were to build an addition more than 500 square feet, that you would pay school fees. So a lot of people would always keep that addition at 490 or 495, just to
Yeah,
avoid those fees. But in reality, if you analyze the fees, and you're probably looking at about between depending on the size, between 3,000 and 8,000 fees if you go the full 1,200 square feet. Uh, so it depends on you individually, your capacity to do the ADU, your budget that you have. But I do feel that those fees, I would recommend if it's gonna affect you a lot, then don't do it. But I think if you could keep it at 749, because they allow you to go up to 800 square feet without the fees. Before it was 750. So if you can keep it a couple of square feet less and still get that two bedroom out of 750 or an 800 square foot, then that's good. Because if you're gonna go and give someone too much real estate and then more money out of your pocket, and the return is the same, it's not beneficial. So I think
got it.
two bedroom, two bath, 850 square feet is the ideal size that'll bring you the premium rent. That's
Got it.
my.
What about from your perspective? Do you like detached, attached better?
I love detach all day long.
Yeah,
The issue with attach is, for example, is per basis. For example, if you have your condenser in the back, where you plan to do the addition, you have your meter panel there. You have obstacles. So now, if you have a bedroom facing the rear and you have all these obstacles, you have to relocate those things. So now your cost goes up. So that's where it changes that. But if you can deal with that extra cost and avoid the building to building setback, what I do like about attach is you avoid your building to building setback. For example, typical LA in most areas, your worst case scenario is 10 feet. So if you do a detach and you don't have that much yard, now you're losing 10 feet of space in between. So in that case, I would recommend an attach. That's kind of
got it.
my,
That makes
my
sense.
approach on that.
What are the requirements for a junior ADU? Just for maybe somebody that doesn't know those.
So junior ADU, when it started, had to be part of existing living square footage. It cannot exceed 500 square feet, and it varies from city to city. For example, San Diego, they want you to have access from the main house to the JDU, which I don't like that personally. I hope they change that. But here in LA and most places, you can separated. You need to have a kitchenette, and a exterior entrance. Those are the two main ones, and it cannot exceed 500 square feet. Those are pretty much your three main components for the JDU. Now, as we move forward, most cities are starting to allow you to convert your existing convert your existing garage attached into a JDU. I love that. So, for example, Garden Grove will allow you to convert your attached garage into a JDU and build a detached ADU in the back. That's beautiful. That's gold right there. And then now Long Beach, I'll share with Long Beach. I'm loving Long Beach. We're doing a lot of work in Long Beach, and they're allowing us to build in addition JDU cannot exceed 500 square feet. It doesn't have to have entrance from the main home, but for example, if a homeowner decides to have doesn't want to build a bathroom, then they'll have access from the main home to the JDU. So that way, the son daughter can have their privacy, but they don't need to go that extra cost for that bathroom to avoid that cost, and they can share the bathroom inside the house. But it has to have a kitchenette and an exterior entrance, and cannot
Got it.
exceed 500 square feet.
So in certain cities, almost the JADU works perfect as a garage conversion if they allow you to do that. Just because of the square footage, it's obviously under the 500 square feet, so it's almost like perfect. And now you have two additional rentals alongside with that. How long are you seeing that most of the cities take to give you permits?
Best case scenario is 4 to 6 months, and then from there is pushing 6 to 9 months, and depending on type of ADU, I've seen it go as long as 9 to 12, 13 months.
What advice do you have for somebody to maybe be on the lower end of that spectrum? Like meaning, like what mistakes do you see people make as it relates to the permitting process, and is there a way to make that process faster?
Yes, a little bit. So the way you can make it faster is the what I run into. My clients, uh, one or two here and there, tend to take too long on making the decision. That's one of the big ones that I see. And then also, for example, if you're in the city of LA, you have to get a clearance from DWP. So that clearance alone is 3 to 4 months. So what I recommend that was happening with other clients, that the designer architect is submitting the blueprints first, and then they're waiting for the city to tell them to that they need to get a clearance from DWP. So instead of going simultaneously at the same time submittal, then that's a big drawback for a lot of homeowners. So the DWP, for example, engineering. So what we do with all our projects, we submit engineering from the get-go. We don't wait for the city to require engineering, because the moment that you do a brand new structural, you're going to require engineering. If you're doing a garage conversion, for example, if you create an opening where there's not an opening, and now you're modifying the existing structure, so you are going to require engineering. So what a lot of homeowners are dealing with, that their person doing the blueprints submits the plans, and then later on gets correction that they have to get engineering. So now you have to go back and get the engineering process going. We do it from the beginning. That helps a lot. The engineering, knowing if you're going to require title report in some areas. So doing your diligence. What we do for our clients, we do consultation, where we get a lot of the information up front, and even then we still run into some situations where the city did not require a survey or a soils report during the blueprint process. Now we have approved plans ready to start construction. We get the inspector out, and now he wants soils report or he wants a survey. So we're running into a lot of different situations. But the main one that I see, they're designing back and forth, sharing it with a coworker or family member, coming back, making little changes. So that part affects process. Not submitting engineering from the beginning. That's a big one right there. And then anything within the if you're pushing a setback. So if your setback is 4 feet and you're pushing your setback 4 feet, and then you are going to require a survey. So if you don't get a survey from the beginning, that's going to also hold back your project.
Got it. So just basically being able to almost like anticipate some of the things that are going to be coming up, and you can't anticipate if you don't have any experience. So if you have experience,
Yeah.
then you can anticipate. So basically working with people that are experienced. Got it. Let me ask you this: what about the financing? I see behind you it says financing available. What does that mean? Like, and how are people typically financing these ADU projects?
So right now, a lot of homeowners are doing the HELOC. So we have our lenders that we work with. So we recommend them and we help them through the whole process. And also, for example, that 48,000 grant that was out there that
Yeah,
kind of
the
keeps
grant.
going. Yeah, it keeps going back and forth. We help our clients do the paperwork, help them through that process. But right now, that's almost like a gamble in a sense that there's no guarantee you will be getting that grant. So the main thing is pulling money from your home to do the ADU, or you utilizing credit cards. I have clients that have nice credit cards that they you do it that way, and then once they finish the ADU, then they could refinance and pay that out. So there's different ways. It really depends on the client itself, which direction they want to go. A lot of clients right now they don't want to refinance because they have very good interest rates, and as you know, the interest rate right now is very high, so it's not recommended to for most cases to refinance. So the getting the second loan on the property makes more sense without touching the original uh, home
Are
loan.
there certain banks that are better for getting the HELOC or getting that second loan right now that you guys are working with?
Yes, we have a gentleman. His name is Carlos, and we're working with other lenders that they're really focused on the ADUs. Because right now, what's happening with the ADUs is that personally, I don't recommend it to for flipping. And I'm going to actually be doing a video on that, and maybe we could me and you could talk about that later in regards to the value that is being given because not getting appraised like
Correctly.
a lot of us think. Yeah, but that's another topic. But the main thing right now is to, if you really want to do an ADU, I highly recommend to start the process because that's time. It is, and there's different cities that they have bedroom restrictions. So sometimes your design, I have a lot of homeowners that they told me, well, I call a city, and the city said I can do an ADU. Yes, you can, but the type of ADU design that you want to do is not doable because they constantly keep making changes. For example, not too long ago, your max height was 16 feet, and now they allow it to go 18, and then you're allowed to go 2 stories, but you have to be at least 800 square feet ADU to be able to go 2 stories. But see, all those little moving parts can make a big difference on whether your design is even doable. And a lot of homeowners, investors, they go get somebody and they're not doing their research for them. So they're start to draw up the plans, and then when they go submit, they're like, "Okay, Mr. Joe, you can do an ADU, but not with this design idea. You can do it this way or that way, but not the way you want it." So it's very
Okay.
important that you get the right information from the beginning, and that's what we do best for our clients.
What about financing investment ADUs? That's where I'm kind of seeing some of the hiccups. Like I see a lot of financing options for owner occupied people, like meaning like there's a lot of people doing that. What about for investors? Does your guy Carlos do investments as well too, or only primary?
Right now, they're working on both. They're working on both. The problem with the investors is that going back to what I said earlier, that it's not a flip situation. Like right now, we have a property in Riverside that we did a 3 bedroom, 2 bath main home, a 450 square foot JDU, and then a detached 750 square foot 2 bedroom, 1 bath ADU with alley access with two parkings for each of the ADUs. And what value would you give that, if you don't mind me asking? It's all
Um,
brand new.
where is it at?
Riverside, close to downtown Riverside.
How much can you
We're
collect in rent for each unit?
we're looking at about almost about 7,000. We're looking for rent.
7,000 for
All three.
total, all three of the units. You're probably looking at north of a million, probably for something like that.
They got a price for 680.
Yeah,
Really?
it's not like
Yeah. So that's the downside. That for flipping purposes, I don't recommend it. Pretty much your buyer would have to give it the value and give a nice down payment to make the difference, so the bank can actually
Let me ask you this:
uh,
how much do you think it's actually worth? Just out of curiosity.
1.1.
Yeah,
That's what
that's
we,
I
yeah.
wasn't missing by too far. I
At
love it.
least,
Cool.
yeah, because if we would have sold it, we would have lost money on it. So right now the ADU is pretty much for build and hold. It's for rental benefits right now.
Well, let me ask you this, and that's what I was referring to. Even for buy and hold, I'm seeing limited options in terms of the financing for ADUs. Does your guy Carlos do um, seconds for buy and hold investors, or is it only for owner occupied people?
Well, right now I'm myself an investor, and he's working with me, and then we're working with other investors. So right now I don't want to give you. He's doing it. It's just we have to be creative,
Yeah,
creative financing. It's pretty much, and that's the main goal with finance, with the investors, to become creative with your invest with your financing to make it work, make the deal work.
yeah.
Right
Maybe
now,
they
to
put
find the
maybe
deals is
put the
very.
lien on a different. Maybe they put the lien on a different property while you're building it out, and then once it's complete, then at that point they can do a second or whatever it is.
Yeah, the collateral on this property to
Yeah.
this. Yeah, so there's many ways of doing it, but it goes back to now flipping it. So for you to flip it, that's where it becomes challenging, because if you're not gonna get the praise that you need to make to flip it, now you're stuck with the property. So that's kind
Yeah.
of makes it more challenging.
No, most of the people that we're working with are holding them, and even us, like we're holding all of them basically. And the whole goal is to just build cash flow, to buy a single
Yeah.
family residence, convert it into 2, 3 legal units that instead of bringing 4 or 5 grand, now bring in 10 grand a month or 9 grand a month. So awesome. What about the building aspect of it? I know that we talked about different square footages for them. What's a typical cost per square foot to build something, or how does somebody know what is market rate for construction, and then how long does it actually take to build it as well too?
So, for example, what I've noticed, and you in your experience, is you have 1,000 square foot house and or ADU and another 1,000 square foot. Your finishes make a huge difference. So everybody at the end of the day, they pretty much put all their money together, what they spend, and then they divide it by that square footage. But just to get a typical realistic cost, I'm seeing it between 280 and 340 a square foot. Just depends on the area, the type of ADU. What I tell everybody is your site conditions make a big difference. For example, we're doing one in Riverside right now that we're gonna have to do a sump pump to get the sewage out because of the elevation. So that's another situation that you won't deal with that on your normal ADU. So you have that. Now, if you're going to go with a raised foundation opposed to your slab on grade, that changes the price. So it depends on, but your typical standard, you're between 280 and 340, I would say, a square foot. Just give you a rough idea. But I would just kind of the number that I would play with would be 310, 320, just kind of give you a
Is
realistic
is
cost.
that with permits or is that just actual construction?
Construction and blueprints, engineering, Title 24 with us, Title 24, no city fees or fines.
So that's basically all in. Basically, it's
Yeah,
not just
pretty much.
like got it. Okay, that makes sense. And then, what type of tips would you give to somebody looking to build something? Like, would you recommend that somebody subcontracts everything out and manages the project themselves, or would you recommend that somebody hires somebody like you, and why?
I the reason why I wouldn't recommend too many people hands in the pot, like they say, because you start having issues. Oh, well, he used my tool, or he. So you have a lot of issues in that sense. Right now, I have clients that want to manage the property, the project. We offer project management where we can assist them and guide them through the whole process if they want to do that. The the main reason I don't recommend to with the subbing part is, for example, like with us, we do the blueprints and we do the construction. So my prices include labor, material, blueprints, engineering, Title 24, no city fees and appliances, and no upgrades. So when I'm designing my build, I'm already designing with the construction cost. So when the person gets someone to design the project and then get someone else to build it, they're gonna give them a price based on what got approved. So for example, right now, garage conversion. Garage conversions are dealing with two major factors. One, if the garage was built in the 1950s and older, every year that goes by, your chances of not having the minimum foundation gets higher. For example, right now a typical shed, you build a slab and you build your slab and then you build your shed on top of it. So back in the days, the garages were built in with that same system. So now with converting this garage that was designed for vehicles and storage, now it becomes livable. Cities allowing it, but they still got to go through the guidelines. You got to have your shear walls, you got to have your moisture barrier, you have to have your minimum foundation, and all those factors come into play. And a lot of garages are not ADU ready. I have a potential client in Paramount. He got approved to convert his two-car garage with an approved permitted storage behind the garage into a two-bedroom, one bath. So he was happy. Anybody would be happy. All right, I got permits. Now he has no foundation, no stem wall. He's below grade. With us, he's looking at least $38,000 to bring it ADU ready. He has a beautiful backyard. I would have said knock down that storage. That's pretty much no good, and build an attached ADU to avoid the building to building setback. And now that $38,000 would have been used for that new construction.
Instead, basically.
Yeah,
Got it.
correct.
What does the process look like to build an ADU? Like let's say you walk into a project, first step I would imagine is something to do with foundation, right? Or what does it look like? Or is it to dig out the plumbing? What's typically the process look like for
So,
construction?
okay, so when I do a consultation, I come to the property. I look at the water. If you have a water regulator, I look at your gas meter. I look at your electrical panel, and then I look at the pros and cons vary from if you have a lot of concrete. Let's say if you're going to do your ADU all the way in the back in the corner. Now you got to bring your sewer line all the way to the front because we have to connect to our lateral sewer line. Our water has to come prior to the shutoff valve for the main home. So in case there's anything happens in the main home, they shut off the water. They don't have to mess around with the ADU or vice versa. The gas has to come from the gas meter. What I've seen in the past, when people that don't have the experience, they go start an ADU for a client that already has permits. They start tapping into whatever makes more sense for them to save money, and then they turn around. City comes over for inspection, says nope, that's no good. Redo it. They tell the homeowner, guess what? The city changed their laws. They want it a different way. Now they want to charge the client more money to do it the right way from the beginning. So the utilities play a big role in the cost. Distance, for example, we done sewer lines that are we did one in Gardena. That sewer line was about 185 linear feet. Our gas was almost the same as a small house, but a big lot. And then the water, we had to come from the front all the way to the back. So the utilities play a big role. And then in regards to the foundation, that only applies if we're doing a garage conversion. So no, typically on a slab on grade, our new elevation, floor elevation has to be 8 inches above the surrounding grade, and everything has to pretty much slope away from the ADU.
Got it. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
And a lot of the
Okay.
garages, sorry to interrupt you, a lot of the garages, if you notice, they're pretty much sunk in, and your outside elevation it matches. So right now, what the city is asking for is to bring your elevation up, but now if your ceiling is not that high, you're gonna lower your ceiling. So there's a lot of garages that are, to me, they're not ADU ready. So that's why the consultation is so important to really determine your pros and cons.
Got it. Now, I've heard that garage conversions, in some cases, if they're ADU ready, are actually lower price than a detached one if they're ADU ready. If that were the case, what can somebody expect for an ADU ready garage in terms of like maybe like price per square foot or total cost?
So right now, our average cost for a garage, standard garage, is between 100 and 115. The site conditions vary. For example, if you have a garage that's not ADU ready, to retrofit that garage, you're looking at about 16,500 with us to retrofit it and pretty much bring it to ADU ready. Now, if the garage is more of a tear down, I'll tell the client, I can't touch it because a lot of homeowners, I understand why they want to keep the garage because they want to grandfather the setback. So with the garage is within the couple inches or foot from the property line, you grandfather the setback. But to grandfather the setback and you have a lot of cons against you, it's not worth the trouble. Like right now, we're helping a client in LA and they have a one-car garage, but we're gonna tear it down and do a brand new two-story ADU because they're 2 feet away from the property line, gaining 2 feet, expanding it, and building a second story. We still got to retrofit the foundation. It's just too much work. So what I tell them, whatever costs me more work is going to cost them more work. So that's kind of the way it works. Pretty simple, But I think grandfathering the setback is not worth the trouble sometimes. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Cool, man. Um, what about, have you heard anything about the condo ADUs at all? Are you guys getting familiar with that? Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, the Assembly Bill 1033. Is that the one that they're going
Yeah,
to be able to
yeah.
sell it? Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those. If My personal opinion, something great. If it's needed, going back to SB9 because right now we're doing a lot of SB9s, but going back to this one, I feel that it's like imagine you selling that to someone and you get the worst owner out there. But it's a benefit, I feel it's kind of, every man for their own needs, when it comes to, selling something like that. I personally, I wouldn't say, yeah.
Got it. Anything else that you think would be helpful as it relates to having people build ADUs?
Oh yes, take advantage. Right now, we're in the process of buying a property in Ontario and one in LA, and we're planning to do the SB9. So on the one in LA, we're going to be building two ADUs, and we're going to be doing an attached ADU to the main home. So now we're going to end up with 4 units, and then we're going to do the subdivision where you can sell it. You got to keep it for 3 years, and then you can sell it afterwards. Which me, I don't plan to sell. If anything, I would. If I do sell, I'll sell it as a combo. But in reality, I'm selling two properties, but it's a combo, So that way, the whoever buys it has the opportunity to sell it separately if they feel they need to. And then in Ontario, we're doing the same. And right now, our business plan in Riverside is to buy land and develop 4 units based on our SB9, SB10. So that's what I'm kind of pushing with my investors. So that way we can go out there and take advantage of this ADU laws.
I love it, man. Congratulations. Good. Um, if somebody wanted to get in contact with you guys, maybe they wanted to build an ADU or wanted to get your guys' expert opinion or project management, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can email us at the ADU guys, no, sorry, the ADU guys at gmail.com or call me directly at 310-984-9398.
Got it. Cool, man. Well, I want to say thank you, Oscar, for taking the time to be on the show. For our viewers today, we had Oscar Albillo with the ADU guys specialist. They talked to us today on how to plan, build, design, and finance an ADU. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button If you feel that this episode would be helpful, make sure to hit that share button. So thank you again, Oscar, and to our viewers, until next time.